This is the NTT INDYCAR Series. From Road America, it is time for what is going to be an exciting weekend of INDYCAR action. We cannot wait for it to begin. And we've also got some lovely track cameras for you as well. And now, it is time to hand over to the lovely tunes of INDYCAR Radio.
All you have to do is say Road America and race fans smile. Welcome to Road America as we're getting ready for an exciting weekend. The XPEL Grand Prix at Road America. Mark James, Davey Hamilton, Michael Young set to take you through this practice session. The initial warm-up before we practice, qualify tomorrow, and then go racing on Sunday. And Davey, we barely had time to catch our collective breaths. We go home, we unpack the suitcase, do the laundry, repack it. We head off to beautiful Road America. And, boy, what an exciting race last Sunday night at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
How about that outstanding race on that mile-and-a-quarter oval? A lot of fun. We didn't know who was going to win. There was 10 different guys we thought was going to win at any one time, and they made it exciting for everybody. Now here we are at this beautiful 4-mile mark road course here at Road America. That there's nobody here that doesn't want to be here. I mean, this place is great. The drivers love it. They look forward to this track all year long. Actually packed with fans. Who has those surprises on Friday how full this place really was, but it's an exciting weekend.
It's Road America. It makes sense that people would turn out en masse even on Friday. And, well, I'll tell you what, the championship chase might be heating up before our very eyes. Only 2 drivers have won races this year. Alex Palou, certainly dominant early on, but of late, Kyle Kirkwood showed signs of heating up. And with some of the issues that Alex Palou had at Worldwide Technology Raceway, not the issues that he had at Detroit, but still didn't win the race. That lead has dwindled down to 73 points over and 75 respectively over Pato O'Ward and Kyle Kirkwood.
Yeah, still a very nice lead, but as you said, dwindling after 2 races, over 100-point lead, and now continued to dwindle down. He can't, if you add all the races up, he can't keep doing that, or he's not going to win this championship. So, you know, I think he's going to get back on pace. He just had a little bit of bad luck. Obviously, at Detroit, got pushed at the wall. That was none of his doing. And they just had kind of a bad race at Worldwide Technology. Still had a decent finish, but, man, you got to be up towards the front to get the points you need to win a championship.
And if you're looking to get your mojo back, there's no better place to be than a place where in 6 starts you've won 2 races.
Yeah, and by the way, his new sponsorship on that car, Solo Cups, how about that with Ganassi Racing and Alex Palou, a new sponsor I haven't seen on a race car before. So they want to... No better way to welcome a sponsor than Victory Lane.
Spotty, heavy rain showers and a few thunderstorms moved in throughout the course of the night. Some rain in the early morning hours. Most of this day has been pretty good, quite frankly, for the fans here. And Michael Young joins us for the pit lane. And Michael, if you're going to enjoy it today, if you like summer heat, stick around here because it's going to warm up throughout the course of the weekend.
Hard to believe just 3 weekends ago in Detroit, I was complaining on how chilly it was. And now we're going to be sweltering. Tomorrow we're expecting highs between 96 and 98 degrees. Today, basically picture perfect as that sun goes behind the clouds. It's 84. Track temperatures dropped a degree. It's down to 114. So a perfect condition for one of the first days of summer, if not the first day. I think tonight is the first official day of summer. So we'll feel those summer-like temperatures. But you can never beat this beautiful Road America road course. It's one of our favorites on the schedule and certainly poised for a fantastic week here on this 4-mile circuit.
A little over 4 miles in length. In fact, 14 turns, 6 to the left and 8 to the right. In 4 starts here, Scott McLaughlin has always finished in the top 10. He was 3rd a year ago, 8th in 23, and 7th in 2022. So earlier today, we asked Scott McLaughlin if we could hop in the cockpit with him, have him take us around this 4-mile course here at Road America.
Heading down to turn 1, probably close to 190 mile an hour this weekend, braking around the 200 board, down a 3rd gear, sometimes 4th gear, through turn 1, grab a little bit of curb on the exit, brake it into turn 3, which is effectively turn 2, but they call the kink before 3-2, which is kind of weird, down to 1st gear from about 5th, and then a long back straight. Really want to get a good run off there. Underneath the Sargento Bridge and braking into turn 5 around the 200-foot board. So you're braking 190 miles to probably a 50 mile an hour turn, 1st gear, make the apex curve, a little bit of curb on exit, up under the Corvette Bridge, down to 1st gear, light brake, car gets loose because of the undulations of the hills, flat out right-hander at turn 7, and then down into turn 8, tough braking zone because it's downhill. first gear again, turn left, grab a little bit of curb on exit, and then carousel. In qualifying, we're trying to get flat through here, so it'll be about 4th or 5th gear, be very close to flat. Then all the way through, getting a good run down into Canada Corner, but you go through the kink flat, Canada Corner, braking deep, about 300 footboard, down to 2nd gear or 1st gear, depending on what gearing you're running. A little bit of curb on the inside, up underneath, up at the hill, through turn 13, try and make that flat really difficult to do. And then braking down 2 gears, 2nd gear for 14, long run up the hill to complete our lap of Road America.
It's just that easy, Davey. I mean, nothing to it.
Sounds pretty easy, doesn't it? But boy, what a tricky racetrack it really is. As he said, go down into turn 1 really fast. I mean, you only shift down, you're 4th, maybe 3rd gear going into that corner, 4th if things are right. But, a lot of cars, there's really a lot of curbing on exit, and if you go off that curbing, we've seen time and time again cars hit that curbing really rough there. They can spin out, and turn 2 is pretty easy, just pretty much straight. Turn 3, not a lot goes wrong there, but it has before. But then the tricky one is turn 5. It's so narrow down there, such a heavy braking zone, and by the way, a great passing zone down through there too. Same thing on the outside, the curbing, it's a lot of runoff, but it's just so rough. The asphalt there, concrete they put down, it's all stamped, so really you lose a lot of traction over that. And as he mentioned, when you go over that hill, you crest the hill, and right at the top of it's when you really want to brake, but it's blind. And back of the car, it just gets loose because your car's like in yaw, basically up in the air. So this track is so much fun to drive. It is technical, and it's super, super fast. So it's 14 corners, 4 miles. A lot of straightaways, a lot of opportunities to draft and pass around this racetrack, and we've seen some of the best races on road courses ever here right here at Road America.
1,600 alternate primary race tires all told this weekend. 6 sets per entry. Rookies get an extra set for this session today. 5 sets per entry for the alternates. Those are the ones you see with the red sidewalls. And don't think we're going to need them, but just in case, you get 5 sets of the rain tires. Now, primary and alternate tires have the same construction as those supplied for the 2024 race. However, the compound is new for this year's event for the primary. The new compound designed to be more durable, Davey, going to provide an increased gap in the performance between the primary and the alternate. Expected to show a slight decrease in grip and reduced wears compared to last year's tire. It's the same compound that used for primary tires at Thermal Club earlier this season.
Gotcha, yeah. So, that was, everybody wanted to get off that alternate tire, Thermal, quick as they could and get on that primary tire at last. It's so good. And we never know what happens, because this track, we talked about it a little bit at the Oval last week, is the cooler you keep these tires, the less they wear. Well, there's a lot of straightaway here, too. Although you get a lot more temperature in them here at a road course than you do an oval, but you have a lot of straightaway to cool that tire off. But it's all about degradation. Who has the best is going to be the one that wins. And I'm looking down through several cars. Matter of fact, Stingray Rob, I see, his car looks a little different. A lot of cars look a little different this weekend.
Yeah, we'll go through the changing liveries throughout the course of this weekend. Keep you updated on those. Some cool stories associated with it. One of the things I like about this track, Davey, and the many things that I like about it is, I mean, most tracks we go to have one signature. Like Mid-Ohio will be on a couple of weeks, has the keyhole, and then you hear the S's and the hairpin at Long Beach. But here you've got the carousel, the kink, kettle bottoms, Canada Corner, hurry downs, and the mooring sweep.
Yeah, and don't forget that turn 14 coming on the front straight. We've seen a couple incidents there last year where they just overshot turn 14 and went straight across that gravel trap into that tire barrier. Actually pretty hard, a couple cars did. So it's not safe anywhere. Matter of fact, this is where AJ Foyt hurt his feet down this long straightaway going down into turn 1 years ago when he had a brake pedal issue. And, then this long straightaway as McLaughlin goes, you're nearly 100 miles an hour there. And so even though there's a lot of room, it's really fun. The danger's everywhere. But this place has created a lot of great
signature
events.
Portions for sure that have gained a lot of notoriety over the years. I think even though it doesn't necessarily have a name, Aaron Likens, who's in the flag stand, posted it. He said earlier today, he said, one of the coolest things for him is watching him come out of that turn number 14 you talked about and crest the hill right here at the start.
Yeah, right where he's at. Matter of fact, there's a point where he probably can't see him because it's very hard to come. It's a steep hill right there, and as they rise over that hill, they just show up. And by the way, they're cooking. And pit lane also goes up a hill as well. Really long pit lane there. But, when you're 190 mile an hour going uphill and coming at you, it's pretty impressive.
Well, storylines are plentiful throughout this weekend, and some of those are hung over from last last weekend, if you will, continue throughout the course of this season, and to give us a preview of some of the big stories this weekend that the folks of the NTT IndyCar Series, fans of it, should be watching. Dave First joins us now.
Welcome to the Expel Grand Prix at Road America, and right now the all-important momentum in the NTT IndyCar Series belongs to Kyle Kirkwood. After back-to-back wins for the Andretti Global driver on a street circuit at an oval, now can he continue this run with his first win on a road course? By the way, the last Andretti driver to win 3 straight races was Ryan Hunter-Reay back in 2012 with wins at Milwaukee, Iowa, and Toronto. Other teams who can't wait to hit the road on Sunday include Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. Remember, on the Indy road course, they turned plenty of heads as all 3 drivers advanced to the Firestone Fast 6 in qualifying. And in the race, it was Graham Rahal who led the team with a season-best 6th place finish. Arrow McLaren's going to be a factor. Pato O'Ward finished second on the IMS road course, while Christian Lundgaard finished second at Barber Motorsports Park. And Nolan Siegel's best finishes this season have all come on these types of tracks. And without question, expect Team Penske to be in the mix. A year ago here at Road America, the team swept the podium for the first time in 7 years. But all that said, simply put, the road warrior these days is the dominating points leader in Alex Palou, already a 2-time winner at Road America. He's won on each of the 2 road courses already this season, and this weekend comes just in time for him after giving up some points to the field at Detroit and Worldwide Technology Raceway. From the Moraine Sweep, Hurry Downs, the Carousel, the Canada Corner, and more, there's only one Road America, and IndyCar's next edition on this picturesque layout can't come soon enough. Join us all weekend here on IndyCar Radio.
Thank you, Dave. Plenty of storylines, that's for sure, including, of course, that championship chase. And, well, I'll tell you what, Kyle Kirkwood's been about as hot as anybody lately.
Yeah, he sure has. And by the way, we're only 2 winners, and that's Palou and Kirkwood. But, another big fight, Chevrolet and Honda. Honda hasn't got to victory lane yet this year. It's all been Honda, and pretty amazing. That's not Chevrolet-like. They're hungry. They're coming after Honda right now, and that's a good battle as well.
Michael Young.
Yeah, with the race strategist for Nolan Siegel at number 6 Chevrolet for Arrow McLaren, as Scott Harner joins us. So just getting ready to hear the engine fire. What's the plan for a session like this? Obviously the 6 sets of primaries, 5 alternates, but how does a team go about, since you have 3 cars, how do you lay out a practice session on the opening day?
Yeah, a lot of it's just trying to get, settled in, see where we're at. Trying a couple different things on all 3 cars and just kind of see where we're, see where we're at as a team to start with here.
Is it a concerted effort to try 3 different things to start a weekend, or do you get a baseline and then branch out from there?
Yeah, we pretty much stick to a baseline, then branch out from there. Obviously each driver has his own feel and kind of what they want to feel in the car, and we can just go from there.
Social media, of course, we had an opportunity to share the experience you shared with your driver last week after a very upset Nolan Siegel had to do a drive-through with the situation with Scott McLaughlin. As a race strategist, how do you manage a situation like that? You have a young driver who, to this point, I don't think I've ever seen him angry in my life, and to manage that situation.
Yeah, I think it was a shock for him as much as it was for us. You know what I mean? I mean, it was. Obviously it's only been this season with him, but I've never seen him like that. Obviously that it kind of got the best of him, which it happens. He's young, he's frustrated. You know what I mean? He obviously feels the pressure. I mean, he's on a big time team, and he's got teammates that are running up front, and I get it. It's hard. You know what I mean? It's hard. He obviously, like I said, feels the pressure, and unfortunately the pop-off valve went the other night, and that's what you got.
What was amazing was you said, we'll address it after the race. He goes, no, I want it addressed right now. You can't really address it?
Well, Kanan and I were might have been talking about that a little afterwards, because it was, again, it's obviously unfortunate. It's pretty colorful, for people to tune in and listen to. But, obviously he feels terrible. I mean, it's unfortunate. And when your emotions get the best of you and that happens and the world can hear it, social media has a hell of a good time with it. You know?
And I don't think he needed a lesson. I think he's smart enough to know that wasn't the right thing to do, but that shows just the level of intensity when you're inside the cockpit of the car.
Yeah, it's, and to me, it really all goes back to pressure. I mean, when you're in one of these cars, you're expected to get it done. You know what I mean? And that's really what it comes to. And whether you got a great race going or not. I mean, for him, it goes back to St. Pete. He qualifies great. He gets taken out with power. You know what I mean? Detroit, he has his, and it's just things pile up. And I think it just finally came to a head then, and he had enough.
Lastly, it was at this race last year where Juncos Hollinger came calling. He left the Indy Next car on pit lane and began his NTT IndyCar Series career.
Yep.
You're working with him this year. His maturation, how have you seen him develop in these opening 8 rounds?
No, I think it's, it obviously started off really well. When we rolled into St. Pete, to get where we got in qualifying and start the race, obviously it was awesome, There's been ups and downs, which is to be expected. He's young, he's a rookie, he's got minimal experience. He's obviously moved up through the ranks really quickly. And these things take time, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to do all the things that happen. And that's just all part of the process. So it's definitely frustrating, and it's definitely not easy for anybody. But yeah, hopefully that was a bit of a reset for him, and we can just go forward.
Lastly, your cheese curd consumption at this point of the weekend.
Well, Barnhart got me teed up a little bit yesterday, so I haven't dug into him yet today, but I'm sure it's coming.
Best of luck to you the rest of this weekend. Appreciate your time as always.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, that's Scott Harder, race strategist for Nolan Siegel.
A little bit of experience bumping around with Scott Harder and Brian Barnhart and Tony Kanaan and Darrell McLaren.
Yeah, great guys. They're all fun guys too, by the way. I've worked with all of them at one point or another, and it's great friends, great guys. Deserve to be there. They're all on the same team. They're all pushing the rope the same direction, and it's a lot of work, as he said, for any driver. The pressure's on you. You have to perform at this level, and right now it's a situation where Nolan just the pressure got to him.
Yeah, the thing is that my observation is this. I mean, not excusing it by any stretch, but I think when it's something that's pulled off radio communication between driver and pit box, that's different than if he's standing doing an interview with somebody on television or radio. I mean, they're not thinking that the whole world is listening when they're communicating in car.
Really good point, Mark, because there's times in race car you just think you're almost talking to yourself. You know what I mean? Nobody else. And unfortunately that button was pushed and everybody can hear you nowadays. And rightfully so. I mean, it was a situation where I think that was his fault, what he did there. I mean, and he got penalized for it. But you have to learn those things. And I just think he was frustrated and he wasn't where he wanted to be in the race. And, guys coming to pass him and lap him, he wasn't having fun.
Maturation process as a driver has a lot of layers to it, doesn't it?
It does. There's a lot of layers to it. It's not just about driving that race car. There's so many other elements go behind it, on and off track, between your sponsors and your team and your fans and what you're expected to do in the media. There's a lot of things that go with it.
Now, we will let you know, folks, that throughout the course of this season, you've seen in this first practice session a 45-minute all skate, essentially, and then we have 2 10 or 15-minute groups after that to divide the pit boxes in half, the even number than the odd number. But Davey, because of the length of this track, 4 miles in length, we've got this 1 hour 15-minute session that should be sufficient, and because it's a 4-mile course, should be plenty of time for everybody to get everything in that they want to get done.
Yeah, at this point, there's absolutely no reason that everybody can't get the lap time they need, the clearance they need at 4 miles. No question about it. They're doing the right thing here by all skate, getting everybody. Matter of fact, you got our points leader Plo. He's just sitting hanging out because it's a tire limitation thing too. You don't want to use up your tires. So rookies have an extra set. A lot of times they're on track first, but these veterans, they'll hang out, but they'll find space.
We mentioned all the challenging portions that there are to this racetrack, and most of them, I guess, are short enough in length that you and I kind of point one out as the primary point, where you want to set the race car up to be the best. That's really hard to do here.
Oh, man, it sure is. I mean, it's back to where you never want to give up any exit on the long straightaway. So that'd be obviously turn 14, going down the front straightaway into turn 1, and then coming off at turn 3, going down that long straightaway. Actually, there's a little kink. Turn 4 really doesn't mean much, but into 5. And then, going through that kink into Canada corner down there, those are the 3 spots you want to make sure you get to that are really good, and so you have good straightaway speed. But after that, there's other areas that you need to really pay attention to that you can get past that.
Last weekend, Worldwide Technology Raceway, the 5th career victory for Kyle Kirkwood and a career best 3rd win of the season, but most importantly, his first career oval victory after 4 wins on a street circuit. Our Michael Young caught up with him earlier today.
Here with Kyle Kirkwood coming off the win at Worldwide Technology Raceway. That was a pretty amazing weekend. It was fun to watch you work that entire race. in the cockpit of the car, the emotion once you got out and reflecting on what you achieved last weekend?
Yeah, that was a big win for me and the organization, right? 2 wins in a row after the 500, after a little debacle there. So it's nice to continue that winning streak, and we'll see what we can do here this weekend. But yeah, it was a big step in the right direction, big step for me in the right direction, maybe specifically because I've not been that good on ovals until probably Nashville last year. So hopefully that's a trend that's continuing, and we'll see what it brings. But nice to claw back in the championship and kind of make it feel like some other people might have a chance here with me and Pato kind of closing that door on or closing that gap to pull out.
This course, what it means to you, and what you love most about Road America.
I mean, there's so many things to love, and I don't know if I can specifically say one thing, so I'll give you a few answers here. This place is historic. It's a great track. It's just fun to drive in general. I love that it is a pure racing track with no runoffs whatsoever. It's very rewarding to somebody that pushes, but very detrimental to somebody that over pushes. And in regards to the race, this place is great because if you have a fast car, you go by people and you do well here. It's not like a race where if you qualify bad and you have a really fast car that you're not going to drive through people. You will here if you play your cards right. So it's exciting for that, and it's very car and driver oriented, which is makes it very fun.
We haven't been very hybrid focused as of late, but the hybrid here this year, how will that affect and or change the mindset going in?
Not sure at the moment. So a lot of questions to be answered in regards to what the hybrid's going to do to the car, fuel economy, many different things, right? And how it might dictate the strategy, pace, or how many stops you do. So we need to get those answers early and often here. We'll try and get them in practice, but only time will tell until we figure it out.
Overall, do you guys feel like as a team, or as you as a driver as a whole, have you figured the hybrid out or have a good understanding of what it can do?
Yeah, we've got a really good grasp on it, I think. We're able to sim it very well, and everything that we've done kind of leading up to this seems to be the right thing, and it's kind of a fluid motion at this time that we have a sim. We run it, we know where we should be, and then that's what we run on track, and we don't really differ from there unless we see something somebody that's actually doing something better than us, so which is a very rare occurrence. So yeah, it's something that I feel like we've nailed really well, and it's really important for our pace.
Looking forward to what you can do this weekend. Again, congratulations on the win last weekend as well.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's Kyle Kirkwood with Michael Young, your winner at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Okay, Davey, I'm going to put you on the spot. I know you've learned a lot over the last year or so because you spend a lot of time in the paddock when we're not on talking to these teams and drivers and engineers and team owners and whatnot. So they closed out that segment talking about the introduction of this hybrid. Yeah. And now that they've had it coming up for a year, you know, for those of you that don't know, folks, Davey spent the month of May as a race strategist for Jack Harvey with Dreyer and Reinbold Racing. So, Davey, what did you glean from your experience with the hybrid that you did not know going into the month of May?
Well, I think one thing is you really have to be careful how you use it, because it can slow you down by regenerating that hybrid. And doing it by the paddle, which we call it the paddle because there's several. You can push a button or you can have a paddle. Teams do it differently. That is to energize that hybrid quicker, make it full faster, to where when you deploy it, obviously it's going to give you more power. But a lot of times it takes more, like I say, more lap time to do that than it does when you deploy it. So then we find out, well, like in qualifying, for example, 4 laps, we really only used it on the last lap, like one shot down the front straightaway, 1 shot down the back straightaway, and didn't worry about regenerating it because it cost us too much time. So we just used it in certain areas. Now, they will organically charge as well anytime that you're under braking per se, or you're moving. That's going to charge, but it's very slow. So you just got to really, on most tracks, these drivers, I think, in teams are just trying to let it build up and not use it until they really need it and then make a pass on somebody. It really, the biggest thing is, as we see Francesco really
somebody had to be the first one to go in the runoff area in turn 5. So it's him now. It's done. He won't be the last one.
Yeah, he didn't really go off. He went way off out in the gravel and stuff, but he got the car jumping around. But I think it's a situation with the hybrid that more so than using the hybrid, these teams are really trying to get a handle on the additional weight of that hybrid. It's 105 pounds, and it's really tricky with these cars and the handling of them. So I think they're finally kind of, they've had it a while. Everybody's kind of learning it. I think on the faster tracks, it's a little bit more tricky to really get the car handling with that hybrid in it. So it's, as Kirkwood just said, he feels that as a team, they're deploying it in the proper places, they're regenerating it in the proper places, but it's still a big challenge.
About half the field taking the wait-and-see approach to this 1 hour, 15-minute session. There's 55 minutes left, and we have seen 14 cars turn laps. Christian Lundgaard at 1:45.779 is your fastest. Then DeFrancesco, Rasmussen, Nolan Siegel, then Alexander Rossi. Stingray Robb, Marcus Ericsson, Robert Schwartzman has turned laps, Kiffin Simpson, Connor Daly, Rinus VeeKay, Louis Foster, Jacob Abel, and Callum Eilert. And some of those were quick install laps and then they pulled back in. And I can tell you, Davey, we've had an opportunity to look at a couple of in-car cam reviews over the top of the driver's head. One of those was from Nolan Siegel when he came off of turn number 14. And it's kind of like being on a roller coaster when you're coming up the hill toward the start-finish line. You can't see where you're going until you crest.
No, you can see sky. You can tell what the weather is, how many clouds are up there. But that's
like
hard
a rocket
to
getting lift,
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And very blind over that. But unfortunately, it's straight. But you want to make sure when you crest it, you're always going, man, I hope nothing's happening on the other side of that hill because it could be dangerous. But how about this? VeeKay just talking about speed. He shot to P2 right now, and got to give a little shout out to him, that Delcoin team. They've really been doing a good job this year.
Brake bias, that's going to get a lot of attention this weekend.
It is. I noticed there earlier in the Indy Next series, it seemed like a lot of guys had too much rear bias, locking the rears up a little bit. But like in that situation with DeFrancesco, he locked those fronts up like way too much front brake, and that's what sent him off down in turn 5. So brake bias so key. And another thing that's going to, I think with the anti-roll bars, from one fast corner to a slow corner, they may be changing those around as well. So these drivers are going to be very busy in that cockpit.
Carousel, the most technical portion of this racetrack?
I think it is. I think because as McLaughlin was describing the track, he says we try to go their third, fourth gear wide open. And that, when he said try, that's the whole key. Because that car's moving all over the place. It's not easy wide open as we see another car go off the track right now, but right back on. And by the way, I think it's DeFrancesco again off in turn 14. But that is a very tough spot, Mark, because you're going so fast through that area. Now, it usually creates understeer there, so we don't really see a lot of spinning through that area, but it's a challenge getting through there fast.
You're going to go wide through Canada Corner as fast as you possibly can through there. It's kind of a tight turn, but it widens to driver's left, which allows them to speed up a little bit. And then you and I have talked about this before. I think it's where our cars look the fastest, and that's through 13 on the approach to 14.
I always tell people, and even if, especially their first time, even if it's not, if they have not been down to that area, to watch these cars go through that area, it is so impressive. It's like, how do they go through the corners that fast? It really is amazing how fast they go through that area, and that's where every spectator here should go check it out at one point or another.
Davey, talk a little bit about Rinus VeeKay and the solid run that he had, a top 10 at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and that came after a rough weekend in Detroit and a rough weekend, the weekend of the Indianapolis 500. And earlier today, our Nick Yeoman caught up with Rinus VeeKay to talk about the nice rebound at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Well, Rinus VeeKay joins us at Road America, fresh off of, I thought, a stout top 10 finish at Worldwide Technology Raceway. How big was that for you and the team, considering how Indy and Detroit went, where I know you guys left disappointed?
Yeah, that was big for us. That was kind of the mentality, get a solid result after the weekend. Did not take any crazy risks. Importance was just getting a solid top 10, which we did. And, put us up another position in the championship. We lost a lot of points in Indy, Detroit, with a bit of bad luck. So happy to get back into that flow of good results again. And this week in Road America, I've got a really good feeling about our car, about our whole team coming into the race.
What do you like about this place?
Everything. It's this is the place I've won my first ever car race in 2017. I actually raced my first time here in a chump car in a Mazda MX-5 beater. So blew it up in the carousel. Anyway, yeah, that's how much I love this place. it's like a holiday. It's like a vacation. I'm just here. I'm actually, you know, if I actually turn out to be like Dixon and I've got plenty of money to have a second house, I might have one in Elkhart Lake.
You ever go around on the campgrounds and visit the different food vendors and really get a feel for this place?
Oh yes, definitely. And actually, I think somebody in our team is barbecuing this weekend, so I might stop by.
Final thing, the string of top 10s. You've had a nice season so far, gelling with different engineers. How's that process going?
Yeah, it's been really good so far. Definitely, Michael Cannon's been a really big win for our team. Brings in a lot of experience and takes some of that engineering stress off my shoulders. So yeah, I trust him. I trust him 100%. And well, he joined us, and we've been really quick from the get-go.
I wonder, Davey, if that heat index gets up to around 100 on Sunday, about 30 laps in, if he'll still feel like he's on vacation.
Yeah, maybe a vacation, but definitely not the normal Road America. That's for darn sure. And one thing that, you know, he talked about the bad luck. You know, in Detroit, it was a broken header. Nothing that really anybody did wrong. It just had a cracked header. It put him out. And I mean, this guy, I really believe in Rinus VeeKay. I believe he's really one of the better drivers out there, honestly, that can get the job done. You put him in a really good program, a really good car with the proper budgets and the guys that are winning, you put him in those cars. I feel Rinus could do that same thing by pulling off a lot of wins. So just hope that they really mesh and find something with, you know, the new sponsors and partners that Dale Coyne has, the new engineer with Cannon. And
I was going to say, I would suggest that now that Dale Coyne has brought Michael Cannon back into the fold, he's in a good program.
Yeah, he actually is. It's just it's funding.
Right.
It's down to that, just to make sure that they get tests and they get the proper parts and everything that they need. Mike Culver's over there as well. Don't forget, I worked with him at Indy with Jack Harvey. He's really a great engineer too. So between Cannon and Culver with those two cars over there, they have a stout engineering program.
Lundgaard, McLaughlin, VeeKay, Siegel, and DeFrancesco, the top five. Will Powers out turning laps now, defending race winner. Rasmussen, Eilert, Rossi, Robb, Ericsson, Schwartzman, Simpson. Daly, Malukas, Foster, Abel, Dixon, Rosenquist through 20th, and Rahal, Kirkwood, Award, and Armstrong. So business picking up. Santino Ferrucci wastes no time in going fast. He's at a minute 45, 7.42 as he goes to P1, and we go to Michael Young.
Yeah, down here on pit lane, and we have Marcus Ericsson sitting in his pit box, and something that you rarely see. They strung the car up, basically checking the alignment of the car. Marcus went down the front straightaway and said the car was pulling. Talked to Eric Bretzman, and he said they were just going to check that alignment on the car. So, Davey, you can maybe address on what it is that they're checking for and what Marcus is actually feeling in the car.
Yeah, so a lot of times with these, the way they do it is they put, it's almost like fishing string just to make it easy, and they square it off the car, and they do all the toes, front and rear, means these are independent cars, and get the toe in, toe out, wherever they want it exactly right. And sometimes when you have too much of one or the other, they'll track down the straightaway funny, your steering wheel won't be straight, or there's just certain thing a driver likes or notices that's not the same. That's probably what Ericsson was feeling, and just knowing something was off. So it's an easy thing to put the toe bars on there, or the toe bars, which I mean for aligning the toe, and the fishing string out, and start getting the calipers out and measuring it up.
One of the good guys in the paddock. 7 starts here, finished second in 2022. 6 of his 7 finishes have been inside the top 10, Davey, and he really needs that. He's led only 19 laps this year. He has just 1 top 10, and Marcus Ericsson, a former 500 winner, is currently 19th in points.
Yeah, you know, just a really tough year for Ericsson because, number one, he, it didn't start off all that great, had some issues going on. Then you go to the 500, obviously a former 500 winner. He ran runner-up there once. He was actually runner-up again this year, but a penalty pulled that from him. So just a tough year for him, and just needs to get things back on track to where he knows they can be and they want to be. Matter of fact, these teammates with Kirkwood. Kirkwood's doing, him and Plow are doing the winning, so he knows he's got the team that can get the job done, and just, man, he just got to get that luck turned around. And that basically, it's just down to that.
History here is, I think, what makes this place so significant. I mean, it dates all the way back to 1982. Your first podium was Hector Rybacki, Al Unser, and Bobby Rahal. But when you look at the greats that have won here over the years, we're talking about Mario Andretti and Emerson Fittipaldi and Michael Andretti and Paul Tracy, Jacques Villeneuve, Alex Zanardi, Dario Franchitti, Bruno Junqueira, Sebastian Bourdais, and then more recently, Scott Dixon Dixon, Joseph Newgarden, Alexander Rossi had a great run here a couple of years ago. And it's one of those trophies that I think everybody wants on their mantle.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, bringing a lot of history here, a lot of great drivers been in victory lane. This track's been around, such a long time. And, ironically, I didn't come here till later. When I watched it on TV and seen all these greats win it, you have no idea what the track's really like until you get here and you see it firsthand and in person, and why everybody raves about the place. So and they did it for a reason. But yeah, this is one of those tracks. You want to win in all of them, but this is definitely one that you want this trophy on your mantle, no question about it. And back to we talked about, I think Dave First in the clip that he did for us is, Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan, they want to get back here, and we've seen, DeFrancesco go off track twice, pretty big time. He's top 10 though. He's 10th place, and right in front of him his teammate Graham Rahal in that 9th place just got moved down. Pato Ward just put himself in that 9th place. Talking about Siegel, how frustrated he is. He's been the slowest of that McLaren pack right now. He's the fastest of that. No, I shouldn't say that. Lundgaard in 2nd, Siegel in 8th, and Ward in 9th right now. Now the McLaren camp.
I want to talk about Kyle Kirkwood briefly again, Davey. It would obviously be impressive if he could sweep the month of June, which he has a chance to do. But I think even more impressive would be the fact that he would do so in Detroit, Worldwide Technology Raceway, and Road America.
Yeah, well, Detroit's no surprise because street courses are his deal, right? I mean, he knows.
But just the variety of the three.
Just the variety of the three, that's right. And we're so used to seeing him win there, but yeah, getting his first oval win. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that he had one on a road course until just today. I didn't really pay attention until you guys mentioned it, and I go, oh man, it's been all street courses. And boy, what a way to top it off, especially for your career and your confidence to win. Get your first oval win and get your first road course win to be outstanding. And he's driving with confidence right now. He knows he's chasing down Plo and trying to close that championship points gap up. And right now, he's as confident as anybody in there because he knows there's only 2 winners this year, and he's one of them.
I mean, there's still, Scott Dixon, Joseph Newgarden, as you mentioned, Graham Rahal, and certainly don't want to take anything away from them, and know that they have many, many starts yet in front of them. But I felt like I saw a social media post late Sunday night, maybe it was even early Monday morning, when you look at that podium from Worldwide Technology Raceway with Kirkwood, O'Ward, and Rasmussen, you got to think maybe that indicates a little bit of a changing of the guard.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, that really proved it right there. And I'm just looking, another surprise that maybe he hasn't won yet because he ran so good as Lundgaard. He's been running really good with that team. It seems like he's found a home there. He's been, he's leading the points out of that McLaren team in that 2nd spot right there. A little bit of a surprise. Rosenquist, I'm going to say that as well. He qualified on so many poles last year. He's P3 right now. He just hasn't pulled off that win that he really wants, here of late. But he, so many poles last year, we thought, well, he's going to win more and more races, but it just hasn't finished him off. So no surprise when one of those 2 guys win.
Michael Young.
Yeah, with Corey Williams, Principal Program Engineer at Firestone. And Corey, just watching you manage a practice session, and there's no time where you just sit and kind of let things unfold. What are you studying throughout this opening practice session here at Road America?
So we're here constantly kind of walking up and down pit lane. We work with our tempers from PTSC as well. We have engineers spread out on pit lane, just observing the tires themselves, working with the teams, monitoring the pressures, the ranges that we stipulate that they run in within. We also just look at the performance of the tires as well, making sure they're performing to what we design them to.
Now, if a team gets overly aggressive with a setup, do you just kindly remind them that that's over the limit, or is there some kind of recourse that you have with the team? What's that relationship like?
We have a great relationship with the teams in INDYCAR, so typically we'll have recommendations, and they're usually good about following those recommendations. But yes, like I said, we have engineers monitoring, walking up and down pit lane, embedded in some of the pits as well. So we have talked to the teams or the crew chiefs and the engineers as well, and typically they're really good to adjust if needed.
Same construction as last year, but different compound. Explain that process and what that means to the fans.
So I'm on the mechanical side, and I work with chemists, some great chemists and chemical engineers, and how they explain it to me is think about it like chocolate chip cookies, right? So the compounds have a range, and depending on how many chocolate chips are in it or what they're mixing for a certain day, they try to target that performance range within a compound. So you can have certain batches with, say, some less chocolate chips compared to more. But again, that overall performance of that chocolate chip cookie or compounds in this case, is the same.
I was hoping you would relate it to cheese curds, but that works just as well. I like it. Makes a lot of sense to me. Thank you for your time. As always, have a wonderful weekend.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
That's Corey Williams, Principal Program Engineer at Firestone.
Yeah, they're absolutely best at what they do, David.
They sure are. That's funny that he uses that, because I was fortunate enough to go through a Hoosier Tire manufacturing company and learn how they make our short track tires. And I always said, well, after I got finished, people go, well, how they do it? I go, it's like making a cake, you know, because they just put a little bit of flour in it, and then they got some sugar over here, then they put some spice, and they do all these things, and it depends on how much they put in and how much in each batch. And so it's funny he uses the cookie, because that's the best way of saying it. It's like baking a cake or a cookie. It's just what the ingredients is in that tire, and you have to make sure it's very, very consistent from one tire to the next.
Santino Ferrucci is fastest at, let's see, a 145.742. And I would say that, you know, some late issues for David Malukas, and that's too strong a word. But when you look at the fact that both of those cars were in the top 12, and they're consistently in that top 12 or top 13 now, I think they've moved from mid-pack runners to contenders now at AJ Foyt Racing.
You know, I really do. And at one point we thought, or at least I did, I thought Malukas, hey, he's going to win this race. He had a really good shot at it. It was really strong. He's been strong at that racetrack before. A situation where he just got a little bit high and banged the wall just coming off a turn forward just slightly, but it probably took some toe out, took that speedway where he didn't do it. But you're right. I see that AJ Foyt team finding themselves with one of their drivers in victory lane, no question about it. And I think it's coming this year. And they do have, you know, Penske technology alignment. I mean, they do have some help from data from Penske. So
but don't you think just as important, haven't they moved the operation instead of running one in Texas, one in Indy? Now they're both at it, and that's got to be a big help.
I think it's a big help. I think what that's done is really merged the two cars into one team, and where they didn't have that before. One car's getting built at Texas, one car is getting built at Indy, and now, you know, they're working side by side. They're working together. They have programs they can do. You know, it's just like, you know, kind of working from home in a way. It's when you go to an office, it seems like you can get so much more done talking to people and seeing them face to face, and I think that's what happened at Foyt's.
Alex Below hears the footsteps. He's gone to P1 in this practice session. He knows that there's some heat coming, and he just turned into 145.551.
And I just looked at he was 26th. He was second to the slowest car on the grid, and all of a sudden now he's P1 and did it with a nice time, because if you look at second, third, and fourth, which are Ferrucci, Lundgaard, and Rosenquist, they're almost identical times.
Yeah, they're all, let's see, what is that, the top 5 in the 145 range through McLaughlin, and then we've got a whole slew of cars in that 146 category, all the way back to 15th place running Graham Rahal. Then we get into the 147s a bit, and then it slows a little bit from there. But right now, as it stands, and looking at these times, Davey, this is a very, very, very tight field.
Yeah, very, very tight. And another, you know, such good teams. And that's what surprises me just a little bit. And I tell people this all the time. When we only have 2 winners in this series, and we have such good teams, such good drivers, and just amazes me that there's only 2 winners, because there's so many good ones out there. I mean, honestly, I could right now, as you just said, there's 15 cars within that small window. I think there's 15 cars and drivers that are able and willing that could win right now.
Well, I've talked to people about this during the week. I said, what's wrong with so-and-so? I mean, he finished 11th. What's wrong with so-and-so? He finished 12th. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's just hard. Yeah,
that's right. And out of the 27 cars, and you take 15, I'm probably being generous. I probably should go more 20, because I don't know if I can pick 7 guys out that really just aren't quite there, whether it's the team, whether it's them, whether it's a combination, whatever it might be, that can't get in victory lane.
Another team that appears to find a little pace. They made a big splash in the month of May at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the pole sitter, Robert Schwartzman, the rookie, is Prema. And they made a big splash at Worldwide Technology Raceway when that young man was able to grab a 10th place finish. And earlier today, our Michael Young caught up with the Indy 500 pole sitter who finished 10th at Worldwide Technology Raceway. So we'll get with that. We'll get to that in just a moment. Michael Young, let's go to you live on the pit lane now. That interview was from earlier today, and Robert Schwartzman obviously very, very happy with what he did with that top 10.
Oh, it was an amazing run for him. And it's funny, at the end of this interview, we talked a little bit about cheese, and it's one of those situations, and you'll hear it at the end of this interview, it was almost like Superman and kryptonite. I said the word cheese, and He had an odd reaction to it, and you'll hear it from Robert Schwartzman.
Yeah, and we can go to that now. Michael Young caught up earlier today with Robert Schwartzman.
Here with Robert Schwartzman at Road America. Have you been on this course before? No, I stuck my hand out, and Robert, I know this is radio, but he looked to his right. Have you ever been on this course before?
No, I haven't. As I said already, all of the racetracks that we have this season, it's all new to me. So every time we go to any racetrack, it's going to be first time there. I've done track walk yesterday. I really like this track. Honestly, it's very European style, very smooth. And yeah, honestly, I have a lot of positivity. I really want to feel now the car, how it's going to be performing on the track. Because yeah, this is a track where I usually used to race all of my career, you know, coming from Europe. So yeah, we'll see. But it looks really cool. And I also like that it's in the woods, so it's like very wood place, and I like that.
Very outdoorsy, if you will. Compare this to a course that you've run. Obviously, with your Formula career, you've run some of the great courses over in Europe. What would you compare this to?
I mean, I haven't driven yet, but from how it looks like, it's a bit of mix of like a bit of Spa, because Spa it's a bit there. Spa is longer, obviously, but it gives me a little bit of this reminder of Spa vibe. As the corners itself, I don't know. It's a bit of a mix. As I said, there is some things that's similar to Spa. Like the long left corner. Here it's the right corner, like the carousel. Some of the corners remind me a bit of like Baku, like the 90-degree corners. Obviously Baku is a city track and has nothing to do in terms of, but yeah, there is a bit of mix. But that's the thing, there's some corners that just remind me from a couple of European tracks.
During the track walk, what part of this track do you find most interesting, or what you can't wait to get out and actually experience in a car?
I think I'm very curious how the carousel feels like. When I look at it, it's quite interesting. It's like you're always holding the inside line, but it's like long, and you're battling the car for like maybe like 5 seconds straight. So that's the interesting one. Yeah.
What's interesting for me is coming off a top 10 at Worldwide Technology Raceway, your only second oval you've ever run, obviously the pole at Indianapolis, but the team has brought back Eric Lytle to help out for the remainder of the year, obviously his connection with SpaceX. What has he brought to this team that has really catapulted not only you, but the whole team to that next level?
Well, I think, he's super clever and intelligent and experienced guy who worked with Joseph and Penske, so he knows how it's done, how it should be done. So I think he's just generally bringing his knowledge. I think he's super cool dude, and he's very calm, and when his approach works, so that's how I really like too. Like, you know, even when we did a really bad qualifying, he was super calm and he was like excited, and I was like, why are you excited? We're starting from the back. And he said, I don't know, I'm excited. And he gives this, you know, very positive vibe that for me as an athlete, it helps quite a bit as well. So yeah, then in the race, we managed to get from the back to top 10, and yeah, he's super cool dude, and you know, it's just funny that he's working in SpaceX, and you know, I do some jokes about him and Elon, you know, it's just fun, and you know, it's just it's a fun thing. So yeah, and it seems that he's really enjoying it as well. Like, I like the fact that when he comes, he generally enjoys racing. He doesn't feel pressured, and he said it himself. So honestly, it's really good way of working.
All right, lastly, and you have to do this if you haven't been around the course yet, have you tried any of the food vendors yet? Because there's amazing food all around this course.
I haven't tried the food yet, though. I'll be honest. Like, you know, yesterday we did a barbecue, but yeah, maybe at some point I'll have to go and try and see.
So after we're done with this interview, we're going to go get buffalo mac and cheese down in turn 3. So
I can't eat cheese. I'm sorry.
Well, then you're in the wrong state, because that's Wisconsin.
I'm sorry. Cheese is not for me. This is one thing I'm going to avoid.
Well, how about speed? Because we'll look forward to you out here on the race course a little bit later on today.
Yeah, and, you know, it's been a challenge for that race team, but I think they're up for it, Davey, and I think they understand that it was a process going into the season.
Yeah, you know, they really, you know, I can't explain to people how difficult it is to put together a brand new team and brand new driver, and then one driver that has experience here, but it's new for everybody, and engineering and guys working together, and trucks and trailers. I mean, there's just so much, and they didn't do it just kinda. They did it full bore, spent a lot of money. and in a short amount of time. And just getting that orchestrated and making sure everything's perfect is not easy by any stretch. And we can see that. I mean, this track is probably, I'd have to think this is Schwartzman's best opportunity, but unfortunately right now he's in that P26 spot. Teammate Eilot is a P17.
30 minutes remaining in this session. Alex Palou continues P1, and looks like he's turned the fast time at a 1:45.551. Joseph Newgarden, Santino Ferrucci, Christian Lundgaard through fourth. Felix Rosenquist at fifth, and Scott McLaughlin, Marcus Armstrong, Pato Award, Kyle Kirkwood, Scott Dixon, Will Powers 11th fastest, VK is 12th. 13th is Malukas, 14th is Siegel, 15th is Rahal, 16th is DeFrancesco. 17th is Callum Eilot, Colton Herta 18th, 19th Christian Rasmussen, 20th Alexander Rossi, 21st Kiffin Simpson, 22nd Stingray Robb, 23rd Marcus Ericsson, 24th Louis Foster, 25th Connor Daly, 26th is Robert Schwartzman, and 27th is Jacob Abel.
And one thing too, we're on board right now with one of the AJ Foyt cars. Sexton's group is on that car this weekend, and sad to say that Marlene Sexton passed away this last week. And Marlene, she's been part of the AJ Foyt team for a long, long time. I've been very fortunate to know her. She drove me in every single, all 11 Indy 500 parades I was in. She was my parade car driver, so we got to be really good friends. And she, unfortunately, she's been ill for quite a while and was fighting for a long time, but lost the battle this last week. And you know, and I'm sure this will be a great race, obviously, to try to get a win for her and that AJ Foyt team right here.
Yeah, the livery on that car is a tribute to her. And for those of you that have a shot of the video, you can see that there's a tribute to her around the top of that arrow screen, just above the head of Santino Ferrucci now as he makes his way around the racetrack. And again, he is third fastest in this session. Got our eyes on Team Penske. Plenty of struggles for them at Worldwide Technology Raceway. They're probably collectively excited to get here, Davey, because they swept the podium last year here at Road America.
And that doesn't happen very often anywhere, but they were able to pull that off, sweeping the podium. And with really a tough year they've had this year, and so many things have gone not their way, which is un-Penske-like, that we always continue to say, boy, they're going to try to get it all back on track, get things going their way, and see if they can get a result here at Road America.
And we really thought that early on at the halfway point of that race that it was going to be a solid night for Chevy. And all in all, I guess it was, but still the fact remains that Honda leaves the battle for the Manufacturers Championship 723 to 575.
Yeah, a really big gap there. And you know, when we continue to say in both Indy Next and IndyCar, only two drivers to win, but then another thing, having Honda win all the races, just kind of unheard of as competitive these teams are. Chevrolet hasn't found victory lane yet, and you know that they can. They have great teams, and they have great engines, and they have everything to do that it takes to do it. It's just you got to have that luck going along with it, just as they're crossing into that Corvette bridge right now, actually.
Davey, we also keep an eye, and it's that time of the year where we can start talking about the entrant points as it pertains to those that are going to get that bonus at the end of this season. And right now, because of the fact Prema's not eligible, the 22nd car in line is the 77 machine of Juncos Holliger. And then on the outside looking in with a little bit of pressure on him would be Louis Foster, Devlin DeFrancesco. Those are the two guys that really need a little bit of pace over the second half of the season.
Yeah, you know, a little surprising that both those cars are out. You'd think that one of them could be in, but they've had, you know, a little bit of a tough go at it as well. And as you said, they're going to fight. There's a lot of racing left in this season, but they're going to fight for that 22nd spot, no question about it.
Firestone Pit Stop Performance Award currently being led by the Wolfpack and Scott Dixon. We mentioned that going into the race last weekend that Will Powers' team that won it the past couple of years had a firm grasp on second. They've now slipped to third, and Pato Award's team has slipped in there the second spot.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense if you recall him making a really good stop at Worldwide Technology Raceway last weekend. He came in third, came out first. I know there was a little undercut there, but that team had to have a really good pit stop to pull that off, and so that's probably what shot him in front of Power.
So there's about 26 minutes remaining in this session, and all in all, it's been a clean session. But I would think as this weekend progresses and that pressure comes to push these cars to the ragged edge, Davey, I would say the curbing and the runoff area is going to get a lot of work over the course of tomorrow especially.
And they really do. You know, I think they use that curbing, you know, regardless off of turn 1, off of turn 5 and another one off of turn 8. They use it pretty good, and then Canada corner. So they use a lot of curbing here, and even the front straightaway coming off 14. So curbing exit is used a lot here at this facility.
A lot of talk going into this weekend about the weather. And again, earlier this week, it was expected that maybe showers and storms could come to the area and kind of disrupt the proceedings today. We think if anything happens, it's going to be maybe during the overnight hours. But boy, once a little front moves through, it is going to pump some hot, humid air into this facility on Saturday and Sunday. And drivers going to have their work cut out for them on both of those days with that heat and humidity.
Yeah, no question. In my weather, I'm going to bring it up one more time while we're right here. It said, see if it says the same thing, but hazy on Sunday, but 95 degrees for the high, 80 for the low, and on Saturday, tomorrow, obviously, 94 and mostly sunny, but it says high humidity as well, so it's going to be a burner.
Yeah, and these cars, as we've learned, are ultra temperature sensitive. And the heavier that air is, the less they like it.
Yeah, well, what happens when that air is really heavy, it does give you a lot of downforce and maybe too much on these long straightaways. I mean, that's something these teams are going to start adjusting for, because it's just the heavier the air, just the more drag you get. You can probably trim these cars out a little bit. The heavy air does create more power, but the heat kind of counteracts that just a little bit as well. So it's going to be a challenge. I mean, because you do want to kind of set up for conditions, or not kind of, you do want to set up for conditions just to make sure your car is running as very optimal, and it's going to be a challenge for all these engineers.
We know ovals can get slippery when the track heats up. How about a place like this?
Absolutely, it's no different. Anytime you have rubber on top of asphalt, it gets slick. As that sun hits it, it just makes it kind of slippery and it just really unstable. And even though ovals, more of one groove, a lot more, there's a lot more laps to get laid down on an oval than this 4-mile course in each corner, but it's going to happen the same thing. It's going to get slick in these highly rubbered areas.
How difficult is the process of adjustments throughout the course of, let's just say, a stint, from one pit stop to the next? I mean, you throw all the variables in it, how the weight of the car changes once the fuel starts burning off, what you're doing to the brakes, how the grip goes away on your tires with tire deg and whatnot. Is this as challenging of a course as we run on?
Yeah, I think it is really. I mean, I think some of the really short ones are like Barber, really challenging as well. But this track, it brings its own challenges, and I think one of them is usually you can cool your tire off a little bit going down these long straightaways and try to keep the tire deg a little bit better. But when it's 95 degrees and the sun's out, I'm not so sure it's really going to cool it down very much. And then with the slick, as it gets slicker, you're sliding that tire, and that just generates more heat as well. So it's going to be, it's not going to be easy for anybody, and especially for you, the drivers themselves, to make sure that, a lot of carbs, a lot of, make sure you're hydrated really well. It's going to be a long day for them.
Scott Harder talked a little bit about the menu offerings that suggested to him by Brian Barnhart over the course of this weekend. Can you find out more about that and what they're doing on the racetrack from Brian, Michael?
Well, yeah, I think we'd ask Brian about the car, but Scott Harder did say cheese curds were in order. So was that the first thing we do when we get to Road America?
Yeah, that's always kind of a tradition. That and some brats makes it special when you get here.
It's amazing, this facility. You've been at this game a long time, so have I, and it's just amazing every time we come back here. This is such a special place.
Yeah, it really is. They've done a heck of a job with the racetrack, and really looking forward to a good race for everybody on Sunday.
Your driver, 4th in points, 4th right now in this first practice session. What's he saying about the car, and what are your concerns this weekend, especially with the heat?
Just monitoring tires, the biggest thing right now, so hang on one second.
Yeah, he's getting ready to talk to Christian. They're working with the race engineers right now, and Brian's getting on the radio, so we'll walk and see if that conversation ends. But certainly, to your point, Davey, with the heat here at this track, talking about the downforce and these long straightaways, these teams are certainly going to have to figure that out today and put that plan into motion as Brian finishes up that conversation. Brian, with the heat, how do you set up a car for what potentially could be a 95-degree race day?
Well, just kind of watch the tire temps, I think, as much as anything else, and we'll see where the alts and the primary shake out and see which one's the preferred tire.
We saw that last year with some of the tires. The teams went off too quickly off a pit lane. The tires degged really quick. And with the hybrid, have you any idea of where these cars will be?
No, not until we get the alts on later this session. That'll be our first read and go from there.
We'll let you get back to the cheese curds, the session, and a great weekend.
Thanks.
Thanks for his time as always. Brian Barnhart, race strategist for Christian Lundgaard.
Been at it a long time, and one of my favorites, Brian Barnhart. On the season, his driver, 3 top 5, 6 top 10s, 49 laps led. Davey, he's looking for a good finish here. He was 11th here a year ago, but in 2 starts prior to that, he's finished all around the top 10. I mean, 11th, a 7th, and a 10th, and so a podium finish would not be a surprise given the season that he's had.
Yeah, the start of the year, it was really good. He was really up towards the front, getting some podiums, at the start of the year, and Brian does great strategy as well. It's back to that stiff competition, and right now, I think you're right. I think this is a race where maybe he can get that win or at least be on that podium again, and he's hungry. He drives well. He's got a good team behind him, and it's going to be exciting. And what Brian said, too, I'm anxious to see what these alternates do later on this session. They're going to start putting them on, just seeing what the DAG starts off being. I mean, obviously, they're going to lay some quick times down. I promise you that they're going to be faster in a lap or 2, but how fast are they going to drop off speed? How long are they going to last? Are they going to make it through a full stint?
Marcus Ericsson looks like he's the first taker, Davey. He is currently 20th fastest, and he just recently put those alternates on. And it would make sense that we have reached that point in the session in which that they would start planning to go out and turn laps on those alternate tires because, as we said, there's less than 20 minutes remaining in the session.
A lot of time we see 8, maybe 10 minutes to go before they put them on. But it's a 4-mile track. Yeah. It takes they got to prepare themselves to get proper amount of laps on those tires, and you're right. I foresee he's not going to be, I think they're all going to start coming in. We're going to see more, and we'll keep an eye on Ericsson too, and just see what his lap time does. As you said, in that P20 position right now, at a matter of fact, another couple cars. Rob and Daly just went on him as well. 146.3 is what Ericsson is right now. We'll see what he can knock that down to. And
to give you an idea of what they're looking at in terms of those on the primaries, Polo at a 145.551. Newgarden at a 145.580, Ferrucci at a 145.742, Lundgaard at a 145.779, Felix Rosenqvist at a 145.785, and then McLaughlin, 6th fastest. All those cars, Davey, in the 145s with a 922 for the 3 machine.
Yeah, and you're going to see all of them, I think, pretty much this entire field in that 145 range, especially after they put the alternate tire on. We're on board right now with Rosenqvist, and go down to that turn 6, same thing. You really want to charge that corner. It's a heavy braking corner into that really tight lefter, kind of a 1-car. Well, they go through their 2 wide sometimes, but it's really best to go through their 1 at a time. But lock those front brakes up. Just a little too much front bias in that car and slid off the outside of that track. So not a good lap here, but these are his primary tires. I'm sure he's going to be coming in momentarily. Going to try those alternates and see what he can do with those.
Hey, I know a driver that you pointed out about the halfway point of the race, and I think he'd worked his way up at one point. Maybe it's because of pit stops and whatnot to that 15th position. But I want to give a shout-out to rookie Jacob Abel. Finished in the 21st position of Worldwide Technology Raceway. They say, well, why are you talking about that? I mean, that kid, he has worked his tail off this year, and it's been a bit of a struggle for him. I know he was a couple of laps down when all was said and done, but what impressed you about Jacob Abel last Sunday night?
I think he just fought the whole night, and I think it's back to what we talked about. When you're struggling and you're trying to learn, what do? You just try to make yourself better every race, every session, just make it better. And I feel he really did that. He wasn't in the back of the field. He was, like you said, in that 15th, 16th, 17th area. He was fighting with some guys. He never gave up. I think, obviously, he's learning Mike Culver as his new engineer. I think they had a good strategy for him, and I just didn't see any give up in him right there. And that was the first time I really seen some really good progress out of him, and maybe showed a little bit of confidence in Abel right there at that race. So, well, right now he's at the bottom of the charts right now. This track's very difficult. We know how fast he is in Indy next. I mean, he was at the top of the charts all the time, and they're running into their struggles right now. But hopefully that continues. As we see, Ferrucci go off course in that Sexton Properties car. Doesn't hit anything, just spun off. Looks like he does stall it. Now the hybrid. One great thing with the hybrid is you could fire the car up. I don't think you're allowed to do that anymore. I think they stopped that. You can fire the car up, but I don't think they're allowing. Boy, it was a high-speed one, too. I can't tell where he is.
It's going through that switchback area.
There you go.
Really
that's what it is. That's a tough one right there. That's so hard to go through there wide open, and he went off at a high rate of speed. Fortunately, didn't hit anything, and I'm not sure, but I think they disallowed starting the car on your own once you go off track. You can only do it if you stall in the pits.
So we've got Pelot, who has gone to P1, and he is now on the alternates. as Ericsson is in the 16th position. Rasmussen is in that 21st position. As now we have a red flag situation.
Yeah, and a car off in turn 5 as well. It's right now the camera's on Ferrucci. We can't see him. Oh, it's Graham Rahal. Must have locked his tires up and going off. It looks like turn 6 there. Went straight in the runoff area. Yep, exactly right. Turned it around, but must have stalled it as well.
Yeah, so an issue for Graham Rahal, making his 300th start last Sunday night at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Yeah, I didn't have the night he wanted for 300 nights. We were all hoping for a better night for him, but it is what it is. I mean, he's still going to fight for it right now. We hope to see, you know, he did really good at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course there. Had a super good run, and Foster, his teammate, is in that P7 spot right now, so shows a little bit of hope for that Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. His other teammate, Di Francesco's in that 14th spot right now, and then Graham, he is in the 18th spot as he went off, and Ferrucci still in that 3rd spot as he spun off down there in turn 12-13.
Pretty good racetrack for Graham Rahal all in all, and 11 career starts here, 5 top 10s and a couple of podiums, and he would love to have a solid weekend for sure and salvage the second half of the season as Ferrucci is back underway, and he'll head back to the pits. And while we have a lull in the action, one of the really good stories coming out of Worldwide Technology Raceway, first time he was ever on the track in a competitive situation, Christian Rasmussen for Ed Carpenter Racing, his first career podium. He grabbed a P3 at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and he talked about that with our Nick Yeoman earlier today.
Well, we are here at America's National Park of Speed, and Christian Rasmussen is fresh off of his first career IndyCar podium finish. Before we talk a little bit about that race, I want to ask you about the photo shoot and all the pictures you took with that trophy. You guys had some fun with that, didn't you?
Yeah, we did for sure. It was, it was cool. You know, obviously wanted to do something unique. It's my first podium in a while. I kept saying last year that that was the first year in a while where I had only stood on a podium once at Daytona. So getting back and getting in podium in IndyCar obviously deserves something special. So we came up with this good idea to kind of include the trophy as a part of the family. So yeah, we went and got coffee at Java House. We went to play pickleball. Not as good of a pickleball partner as I had hoped, but no, we had a little bit of fun with it.
How tough is it, you mentioned a year ago as a rookie, because, you know, for all of us that covered you in Indy Next and throughout the ladder system, we saw you on podiums and winning races all the time. How testing was that for a driver to go as long as it has and have to do as much learning as it has for the step up to IndyCar?
Yeah, it's definitely different, but I think you, once you step into IndyCar, you have to be realistic, and you have to realize that going in and winning races in IndyCar and getting podiums in IndyCar is it doesn't come as easy as it does in Indy Next. You know, I always say that when you come up through the ranks, you're racing guy that has been in that series for 1, 2, maybe 3 years if they've been around for a while, right? And now you're stepping into IndyCar and you're racing Scott Dixon that's literally been driving IndyCar since I was born. You know, so it's just a different caliber of drivers. But even last year, you know, we had a few opportunities where it just didn't really pan out. Obviously made some of those rookie mistakes that is kind of part of a first season. But really getting everything polished off and getting a podium in my second year of IndyCar was a huge accomplishment for us, for the team. It's the first podium for the team since 2022, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been a while, you know, so giving the team that, giving myself that was pretty cool.
Final thing, what went right for you guys to get that podium?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't qualifying. No, we really struggled early in the weekend, and in practice 1 we were especially struggling, and I think we were super loose in practice 1, and obviously threw a lot of changes at it for qualifying, and then going into an oval qualifying not really knowing what car you have is really tough. So I think the car was better than P25, but I just didn't maximize. But got the car tuned through practice 2 where we made a lot of progress, and obviously had a super good race car. I think really what made the difference for us in the race was traffic management. I think we probably weren't the quickest car out there, pure pace-wise, but I think we were by far the best in traffic, and I think that's really what made the difference. The car was working so well on the high side, and I just kept using that and just kept passing people. You know, we passed everyone once, basically. I think we were up to P5, and then obviously had to take emergency service because the race weren't really straightforward. We had a fuel hose that didn't work. We had a fire in the car. Got a penalty, got sent to the back, but it was just a true testament to how well me and the car was working together, and how well we were managing traffic, because we came through the field twice. So yeah, to get away with the podium was really good.
Congratulations and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's go back to last year, Davey, where he didn't drive any ovals. I mean, Ed did those. They shared that ride, and he did all the road and street courses, so that was his first competitive situation at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and I think Ed's confidence in him was rewarded with a podium finish last Sunday night.
And by the way, you just remind me, Ed wasn't in the car at the ovals. I thought he was going to run all the ovals this year, but obviously just the Indy 500. And yeah, you're right. And boy, what a job he did. As he said, maybe not the fastest car, but he was the fastest car on the outside majority of the night, and he really made up a lot of spots. And you know, Ed even said, don't get your hopes up, because we've seen him up front. He goes, we didn't get the car full the last fill, so we're going to have to pit again. But, man, they made it all work.
During that red flag situation, they got the car of Santino Ferrucci refired. He brought it back to the pit box, and Michael Young was there to greet him.
Yep, he's still sitting there. They did make a front spring change on those dampers. Walked down to Graham Rahal, and they're adjusting his front dampers. So a few adjustments for the two cars that went off during that red flag session, as everybody basically on the alternate tires right now, and we'll see if they have any answers as far as what they're able to provide and what kind of speed and durability they have as well.
The day was delayed by rain, Davey, one of the days at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and some alterations to the schedule. They didn't, at first they decided to postpone or eliminate the Highline practice. Then as the day progressed, they decided they'd go ahead and bring it back. I think between that and the fact that they saw the NTT IndyCar Series saw the Indy Next by Firestone use that Highline, especially Lockie Hughes. I think that gave a lot of drivers the confidence to do that.
Yeah, I think so. And they you know, they had a little bit of an advantage too, because we did Highline practice, made the cars go out there running that Highline, so they all really had kind of a good indication what that Highline was going to be about. And I think certain people decided, hey, I'm going to use it. Matter of fact, Connor Daly, Ferrucci, Rasmussen, those are three right off. I'm going to tell you, they went for it. They went for that high groove immediately, and then I think a lot of others were to follow as well. So, man, it was just an outstanding race. I don't know if how you get much better than that, because there was a lot of contenders, a lot of people had an opportunity to win. There was action from one end to the other, and thank God there was a big wreck with Newgarden getting upside down, that he was okay, just brushed it off, got out of that car, and off we went again.
Speaking of Connor Daly, he said for whatever the reason, the car just does not like his last set of tires, but prior to that, he was in contention. He led 36 laps and came home with a 6th place finish.
Well, that fight between Pato O'Ward and him, I mean, how about that? Some of
the best racing of the year.
Yeah, I mean, they were running inches apart from each other. Connor would not give that outside up, and Pato was blocking all he could, but Connor got by him. An outstanding job of driving and confidence, and put that Uncos on a car right in the lead, and he led a lot of laps.
So now we see Pillow still P1. He's on the alternates at a minute 45.462. Newgarden at a minute 46.770. Ferrucci at a minute 46.206. He hasn't been back out. Lundgaard at a 148.324. Rosenquist has been on the primaries thus far. Then McLaughlin on the alternates, along with Eilert, Foster, Pato O'Ward, 10th fastest. I think at this point, Davey, while we certainly expect a little bit of difference in the speed, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think based upon what Brian Barnhart told Michael Young, I think their biggest find out when it comes to these alternates is they're checking the tire deck, are they not?
That's right. And they're going to find more speed. Matter of fact, how about this? Devlin DeFrancesco, P1 on that red sidewall alternate tire. And another one, Eilert, he was at P17 at one point. He finds himself at P8 on that alternate tire. Now, I don't know if everybody's not getting full advantage out of him yet, or they're just kind of getting warmed up. It depends on where they're at right now. But But yeah, there's as we see, Siegel lock his tires up and go straight off down there in turn 6. He does not have the, I'm sorry, he does have the red sidewall tire on. Didn't look like for a minute there, but that kind of ruined him right there when he did that spin out. And how about Simpson finds himself 145.50 on those alternate tires, puts him in P3 right now. The Newgarden, McLaughlin, Ferrucci has not been back out. He has the red tires on, but hasn't made a full lap yet. Lundgaard, I'm a little surprised. I think he has a couple laps and still finds himself behind Ferrucci in that 7th spot.
Well, Santino may not have much time left to get other maybe 1 or 2 good laps in because of that 5-minute hold due to the red.
Yeah, that's right. He was held for that 5 minutes, so he has a couple laps at the best, I think, to really try to get it down. Kirkwood now, one of the 2 winners we've had this year, last week's winner, finds himself in P1. It's going to move around a little bit now that everybody's on these red alternate tires. Now the key is, you can definitely be faster. We knew that. He all the way down to 144.98. He got out of that's Kirkwood. It got out of that 145 bracket. Only car so far. But how long are they going to last?
Right.
We're not going to be able to find out right now. But they're getting a balance check on these tires just to see what balance changes they have and how much faster they can go.
A couple of other find-out missions, fact-finding missions, if you will come your way at 10:05 local time, 11:05 Eastern tomorrow. That's when we will have our second practice session before we go qualifying at 1:35 local time, 2:35 Eastern tomorrow afternoon. But it's been my experience that over the course of this season, especially on these road and street courses, Davey, when we have these final warm-ups on race day, they're much more significant and much more informative for these teams in terms of the race setup than they've been in years past.
Yeah, because it's happening in that day. It's more of accurate conditions. They know what that day is going to bring. It's just you don't want anything to happen that morning because at times it could cost, if you have any damage to your car, you do something, make a mistake, it could be tough.
Now, got a big off down there in turn 1, a lot of dust up. That's the Java House machine. That's Alexander Rossi.
Yeah, big time off. I mean, really big time off. I just looked, and he ran his fastest lap right there at a 145.87, and then, boy, he sent her deep into the sand trap.
Yeah, it's stuck in there. Alexander Rossi, as Davey said, at a 145.871. He was 14th fastest, and now that they've pretty much all gone out on these alternates, we'll give you the full field rundown and let you know where your driver's stacking up at this point with 4 minutes remaining in the session. Kyle Kirkwood at a 144.988. Devlin DeFrancesco is second fastest at a 145.141. Will Power third fastest. Joseph Newgarden fourth. Christian Lundgaard is fifth. Scott McLaughlin is sixth. David Maluka is seventh. Louis Foster up to eighth. Alec Palou is ninth. Kiffin Simpson is 10th. Santino Ferrucci is 11th. Nolan Siegel is 12th. Rosenquist is 13th. And Rossi is 14th. And Davey, there's a replay. You can get a good look at it now.
Yeah, right there. Oh, turning in down there and just way late turn in and really gave a yank on that wheel and just overshot that corner. Spin it off out there in that gravel trap.
Ilott is 15th fastest. Armstrong is 16th fastest. Ward 17th. Scott Dixon 18th. Regis VK 19th, Marcus Ericsson 20th. Daly is 21st fastest, then Rahal 22nd, Herta 23rd, Abel 24th, Schwartzman 25th, and Rasmussen 26th. Stingray Robb is currently 27th. And of course, with this red condition and it being a mandatory 5-minute hold, this will end the session. And Davey, you got to wonder at this point, even though they're pulling him out of the trap right now, getting him back on the racetrack.
That's actually turn one. That's going. Yeah, that's actually
what we said. It was in turn one.
Turn one. Yeah, I made a little bit of a mistake there if I said wrong, but yeah. And you can see how late he turned in. He was way off that curbing, and when he turned down, it just was too late in the corner. He was up high, and the back of that car came around, and yeah, gravel trap, 190 mile an hour, and you see it did take that long to get him slowed down. So thank goodness for gravel traps for safety like that to slow these cars down, and it slowed Alex down really quickly.
Now you got to wonder now with the clock showing just about the 2-minute mark, Davey, and they haven't got that car refired yet. That may wrap up the session.
Because the checkered flag would come out before they could get to a green, be honest with you. So I see DeFrancesco. I see he's out of his car right now. I'd have to think most of the guys are good guys because you can't get a timed lap in. You can go out and back in if that helps you.
Well, I know it's not good news for a driver. They don't want to get all, but in terms of potential for damage, knock wood, as we've talked about before at this place, the runoff areas are somewhat forgiving for these teams.
Yeah, they are. And one thing that we noticed here that the drivers have to be careful of, they are very forgiving, and that did what it was supposed to do. But when you go backwards in like Alex did, is it fills the back of that underwing and between the underwing and the engine full of gravel. So when he goes to take back off, it spits gravel all over the racetrack. Now, it's the one good thing they do, the gravel that they use, it's like pea gravel. It's not sharp, it's round, so it shouldn't puncture your tire, and it should clean off the track pretty good. But that is one negative about gravel, going off in that trap.
Pretty impressive stretch that we're in the middle of, Davey, early stages of, and I know. We have an off weekend coming up, but boy, 6 races in 7 weekends, and that's awfully taxing on these teams and drivers, and it could play a role in this championship chase.
Yeah, I know it could, because if you have, like we talked about just a little minute ago, if you have any issues, man, it's just, like Newgarden getting upside down, that didn't help things. That Penske group had to build another car, get it ready to go, and you got to have some good luck and good, because they don't have much time in between these races.
Now, we do get a green flag with 39 seconds remaining in the session, and Davey, looks like we do have a handful of takers.
We have some takers, but but this track is so big, 4 miles. By the time they get to the time line, which is just right before turn 14, the checkered flag will be out, so they won't. It's just an out and in. They won't be able to get a time.
Now, on some of these shorter, quote-unquote, street courses we've raced on, we talked to Alex Palou about the fact that uncharacteristically this year, the second lap has actually been the fastest, but we'll talk more about that after we head check in with Michael Young.
Yeah, Christian Lundgaard out of the car. So overall, the session is how?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think we, going out as one of the first cars, we got some clean track, and I learned a little from Kyle Collette and Indy Next, and just how the track was and what to really look out for. I think the car is good, so I think we have a good chance this weekend.
How about the hybrid? Did it affect the car and its handling?
I think it's so difficult really to say around here, because the degradation in the asphalt has been pretty severe the past couple of years. So yes, it makes a difference. Is it the right difference that we're feeling? I'm not sure. I think the cars are definitely heavier than they were. But at the end of the day, it's the same for everybody. So it's.
How about the Reds? Did you feel comfortable on them, and do you have a good idea how they'll deg?
Yeah, it's too soon to say how they will deg. I think they are a faster tire, unlike what we saw last year from the alternates to the primes. So if it's going to be a red or a black race, I don't really know yet. We'll figure it out.
Start to the weekend. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
That's Christian Lundgaard.
Yeah, good stuff, Michael Young. Thank you. So, Davey, back to the point we were making, we wanted to certainly hear from him. There have been some tracks this year where, like Alex Palou had talked about, hey, my second lap was actually my fastest. Is that going to be the case this weekend?
No, I think this track's so long. It depends how you go about it. If you leave the pits and you go after it and you get heating your tires very quickly, I think it could be the second lap, but I think if you go, it'd be the first lap if you go out and get after it. But if you go slow and just take it easy and not get much heat in your tire and try to save it for that second lap, you could probably do that as well. But I'm going to think they're going to go get after it, and their first lap's going to be the quick one.
Busy day tomorrow for us, busy day for these drivers. It all begins at 9 a.m. local time, 10 a.m. Eastern, with the second Indy Next practice session. And then, of course, the NTT IndyCar Series will have their second session at 10 o'clock local time, at 10:05 to be exact, at 11:05 Eastern time. And then at 12:30, we'll go qualifying with Indy Next by Firestone, which will be 1:30 Eastern. And then we'll wrap up the day with the qualifying session for the NTT IndyCar Series, knockout qualifying, and the Firestone Fast 6. That'll be at 1:35 local time, 2:35 Eastern. On-site engineering and production courtesy of Rick Evans. The network director is Chris Pollock. For Nick Yeoman, Michael Young, Davey Hamilton, this is Mark James saying so long for now from Road America.
Thank you very much to IndyCar Radio as well for talking us through that session. And that is the sight in the pit lane as everyone returns back there and they will review the data, look at what they can improve ahead of a big day, which of course IndyCar Radio just talked to you about in terms of the schedule as well. It's going to be quite interesting. And this is now the sight as the safety crew make their way around the circuit. and we take a look at the final few shots of the circuit that's about to fall quiet now after seeing all of the action across Indy NXT and the main IndyCar series, along with all of the other series as well that join us on the road to IndyCar. We're going to run you through and confirm your results as well, which you can see right now on screen. It was Kyle Kirkwood who was the driver who ended in fastest. Devlin DiFrancesco was in second. Will Power in third. Joseph Newgarden in fourth. It was Christian Lundgaard in P5. Scott McLaughlin in sixth. David Malukas was in seventh. And then it was Louis Foster, Alex Palou, and Kiffin Simpson. That was your top 10 from this session. In 11th, it was Santino Ferrucci, Nolan Siegel in 12th, Felix Rosenquist in 13th, Alexander Rossi was in 14th, Callum Arlott put Prema Racing in 15th. And then we had Armstrong in 16th. As we scroll down, we had Pat Hallward in 17th, Scott Dixon in 18th, VK and Ericsson completed our top 20, Connor Daly in 21st, Graham Rahal in 22nd, Colton Herta in 23rd, then Jacob Abel, Robert Schwartzman, Christian Rasmussen, and Stingray Robb. And that is the class and field complete here from this opening practice session of the weekend here at Road America. We'll have another practice session coming your way tomorrow, and we're going to hope you join us there. Here is our final shots from the circuit. As you can see, the teams now moving their cars away from the pit lane as the safety crew continue to make their way around the circuit, and you can see all of the dusting being cleared as well from the IndyCar that were just out there. So it's been a very interesting session, and we're going to be looking forward to seeing more of these shots when we return tomorrow for more IndyCar action. But in the meantime, we've got MotoGP, we've got Formula E, and we've got the touring car action to come your way here on the main channel. And on JB Motorsports 2, you can also catch a bit of Italian F4 as well. Lots of action to keep you occupied till we come here for practice 2 at 4 PM UK time. We'll see you then. Goodbye.